The morning sun cast long shadows across the military compound as Captain James Mitchell adjusted his uniform one final time. Today was different from any other day in his 20-year military career. After months of intensive training, his hand-picked team of guards would face their first official review. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders as he walked toward the parade ground. Captain Mitchell had seen many young soldiers come and go throughout his service, but this group was special. They had arrived 6 months ago as raw recruits, some barely 18 years old, others seasoned veterans looking for a fresh start. What united them was their determination to prove themselves worthy of serving in the elite Presidential Guard unit. The compound buzzed with nervous energy as the guards prepared for inspection. In the barracks, Private Sarah Chen carefully polished her boots for the third time that morning. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from excitement. She had dreamed of this moment since joining the military 2 years ago. Coming from a small farming town, she never imagined she would have the opportunity to serve at such a prestigious level. Across the room, Sergeant Marcus Rodriguez helped younger recruits with their uniforms. His calm demeanor masked his own anxiety about the review. As the senior non-commissioned officer of the group, he felt responsible for ensuring everyone performed at their best. Rodriguez had served under Captain Mitchell before and knew the captain's exacting standards. Nothing less than perfection would satisfy him. Meanwhile, in his office, Captain Mitchell reviewed the personnel files one last time. Each guard had their own story, their own reasons for being here. Private Chen had graduated top of her class in basic training. Corporal David Thompson had transferred from the infantry after showing exceptional leadership skills during overseas deployment. Private Lisa Watson had overcome significant personal challenges to earn her place in the unit. The captain closed the files and walked to his window overlooking the training grounds. He remembered his own first inspection decades ago, the mixture of pride and terror that had coursed through his veins. His commanding officer then had been a stern but fair man who taught him that leadership meant more than giving orders. It meant caring for the people under your command and helping them become the best versions of themselves. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called out. Sergeant Rodriguez entered and saluted smartly. "Sir, the guards are ready for inspection," he reported. The captain nodded and gathered his cap. "How are they looking, Sergeant?" he asked as they walked toward the door. Rodriguez smiled slightly. "Nervous but determined, sir. They've worked hard for this moment." Outside, the guards had formed perfect lines on the parade ground. Their uniforms were immaculate, their weapons spotless, their posture rigid with military precision. Captain Mitchell could see the intensity in their eyes as he approached. Some stared straight ahead with laser focus, while others struggled to contain their anticipation. As he began his walk down the first line, the captain noticed every detail. Private Chen's boots reflected the morning sunlight like mirrors. Corporal Thompson's rifle bore no trace of dust or fingerprints. Each guard had obviously spent hours preparing for this moment. But Captain Mitchell knew that appearance was only part of what he was evaluating today. The real test would come in the hours ahead. These guards would need to demonstrate not just their ability to look sharp, but their readiness to protect and serve with honor. They would face scenarios designed to test their judgment, their courage, and their ability to work as a team under pressure. Private Watson caught the captain's eye as he passed. She had joined the military to escape a troubled past and find purpose in her life. Her transformation over the past 6 months had been remarkable. The scared, uncertain young woman who had arrived at the compound had grown into a confident, capable soldier. Captain Mitchell felt a surge of pride knowing he had played a role in that transformation. As he continued his inspection, memories of the training process flooded back. There had been moments of frustration when recruits struggled with complex procedures. There had been setbacks when equipment failures disrupted carefully planned exercises. There had been personal conflicts that threatened to divide the group. But through it all, these men and women had persevered. The captain remembered the night exercises in freezing rain, when the guards had to maintain their posts despite miserable conditions. He recalled the emergency drills at 3 a.m, testing their ability to respond quickly to potential threats. Most importantly, he remembered the gradual emergence of genuine teamwork and mutual respect among the guards. Standing before the assembled unit, Captain Mitchell felt the weight of the moment. These guards would soon be entrusted with protecting the nation's highest officials. Their alertness, their decision-making, their very lives might one day stand between democracy and chaos. The responsibility was enormous, but looking at their determined faces, he felt confident they were ready. The morning breeze carried the sound of the flag snapping in the wind above them. It served as a reminder of what they all served, the principles and freedoms that made their sacrifice meaningful. Each guard understood that wearing the uniform meant more than just following orders. It meant upholding the values that defined their nation. As the formal inspection began, Captain Mitchell knew that regardless of the outcome, these guards had already accomplished something significant. They had proven to themselves and each other that ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things through dedication and hard work. The pride shining in their eyes was well earned, and the captain felt privileged to witness their moment of triumph. The first phase of the review was about to commence, and Captain Mitchell stepped forward to address his guards. Their journey together was far from over, but today marked an important milestone. Today, they would show the world that they were ready to serve with honor, courage, and unwavering dedication to their duty. Captain Mitchell stepped forward and began his address to the assembled guards. His voice carried clearly across the parade ground as he spoke about duty, honor, and the sacred trust placed in their hands. The guards listened intently, their faces reflecting the gravity of his words. This was more than just a ceremonial inspection. It was their formal induction into an elite brotherhood. "Today you cease to be trainees," the captain declared. "Today, you become guardians of our nation's most precious assets, not just buildings or officials, but the very ideals that define who we are as a people." His eyes swept across the formation, meeting the gaze of each guard individually. He could see the weight of responsibility settling on their shoulders like invisible armor. The first test began immediately after his speech. Without warning, a series of simulated emergency scenarios erupted around the compound. Smoke canisters released thick clouds that obscured visibility. Alarm bells rang from multiple directions. Actors playing the roles of hostile intruders appeared at various entry points. The guards had to react instantly, their months of training taking over where conscious thought left off. Private Chen found herself separated from her unit when the smoke filled the eastern courtyard. For a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm her, but she remembered her training. She activated her radio and reported her position while moving toward her assigned rally point. Her voice remained steady despite her racing heart. Captain Mitchell, observing from a concealed position, noted her composure with approval. Sergeant Rodriguez coordinated the response from the command center, his years of experience evident in how quickly he assessed the multiple threats. He dispatched teams to each trouble spot while maintaining communication with all units. The young guards looked to him for guidance, and he provided it with calm authority. His leadership transformed what could have been chaos into a coordinated defensive response. Corporal Thompson's team encountered the most challenging scenario. They had to secure a mock VIP while under simulated fire from multiple directions. Thompson had to make split-second decisions about which routes were safe and how to evacuate their charge without exposing him to additional danger. His team moved with precision, each member knowing their role without needing detailed instructions. The exercises continued for 2 hours, each scenario more complex than the last. The guards faced everything from medical emergencies to cybersecurity breaches to coordinated attacks on multiple fronts. Captain Mitchell watched every response, taking notes on individual performance and team dynamics. He was looking for more than just technical competence. He needed to see courage, adaptability, and the ability to think clearly under extreme pressure. Private Watson surprised everyone, including herself, during a hostage simulation. When the lead negotiator was wounded, she stepped forward to take over the delicate communication with the mock hostage takers. Her personal history of overcoming adversity had given her insights into human psychology that proved invaluable. She successfully de-escalated the situation, saving both hostages and preventing casualties among her fellow guards. Between scenarios, Captain Mitchell noticed how the guards supported each other. When Private Johnson struggled with a communications malfunction, his teammates quickly provided backup equipment without being asked. When Corporal Martinez twisted her ankle during a pursuit exercise, 2 guards immediately took over her responsibilities, while a third provided first aid. This was exactly the kind of teamwork he had hoped to develop. The afternoon brought a different type of challenge. The guards were required to demonstrate their knowledge of protocols, procedures, and regulations. This wasn't just memorization. They had to apply their understanding to novel situations. Captain Mitchell presented them with ethical dilemmas that had no clear right answers, forcing them to think through the implications of their choices. One scenario involved a situation where following orders might conflict with protecting civilians. Another required them to decide whether to maintain their posts or respond to an emergency elsewhere in the compound. These weren't tests with predetermined correct answers. They were opportunities for the guards to demonstrate their judgment and their commitment to the values they had sworn to uphold. The mental challenges proved just as demanding as the physical ones. Some guards excelled at tactical thinking, but struggled with diplomatic situations. Others showed brilliant problem-solving skills, but had difficulty communicating their solutions clearly. Captain Mitchell saw these variations not as weaknesses but as evidence of the diverse strengths his team possessed. As the day progressed, he began to see patterns emerging. Private Chen showed exceptional attention to detail and worked well under pressure. Sergeant Rodriguez was a natural leader who brought out the best in others. Corporal Thompson had an instinct for tactical situations and could adapt quickly to changing circumstances. Each guard was developing their own specialty while maintaining competence in all required areas. The emotional intensity of the day began to show on the guards' faces. Some showed signs of fatigue, but their determination never wavered. Others seemed to gain energy from each new challenge, thriving on the opportunity to prove themselves. Captain Mitchell remembered feeling the same way during his own early career, when every day brought new opportunities to grow and improve. Late in the afternoon, an unexpected real emergency occurred. A small fire broke out in one of the administrative buildings, triggered by an electrical fault. Without hesitation, the guards responded as if it were another training exercise. They evacuated personnel, secured sensitive documents, and assisted the fire department. Captain Mitchell watched with pride as they seamlessly transitioned from simulation to reality. The fire was quickly contained with no injuries, but the incident provided a perfect capstone to the day's events. The guards had proven they could handle real emergencies with the same professionalism they showed during training. Their months of preparation had created instincts that served them well when genuine danger arose. As evening approached, Captain Mitchell called the guards back to the parade ground for the final phase of their review. They stood at attention once again, but something had changed. The nervous energy of the morning had been replaced by quiet confidence. They had faced every challenge thrown at them and emerged stronger. The pride in their eyes burned brighter than ever, and Captain Mitchell knew they had earned the right to call themselves true guardians. The evening phase of the review began as the sun started its descent toward the horizon. Captain Mitchell had designed this final test to be the most challenging yet. Unlike the morning's individual assessments and afternoon's team exercises, this phase would test something deeper: the guards' ability to maintain their standards when exhausted, their commitment when no one was watching, and their integrity when faced with temptation. The guards were divided into smaller units and assigned to various posts throughout the compound. Each position came with specific responsibilities and potential complications. Captain Mitchell and his evaluation team would observe from hidden locations, using night vision equipment and security cameras to monitor every action. The guards knew they were being watched, but they wouldn't know when or from where. Private Chen was assigned to the main gate, arguably the most visible and important post. Traffic would be light during the evening hours, but she would need to maintain perfect vigilance while fighting off the fatigue from the day's intensive activities. Her radio crackled with periodic check-ins from the command center, each one requiring a specific response code to confirm she remained alert and capable. The first test came within an hour. A well-dressed civilian approached the gate, claiming to be a government official who had forgotten his identification. He carried himself with authority and spoke with confidence about needing urgent access to retrieve important documents. Everything about his demeanor suggested legitimacy, but protocol was clear: no entry without proper credentials, regardless of circumstances. Private Chen politely but firmly denied entry, following procedures exactly as she had been trained. The man became increasingly insistent, mentioning names of high-ranking officials and threatening consequences for the delay. Chen remained professional, offering to help him contact the appropriate authorities to verify his identity. Unknown to her, this was exactly the response Captain Mitchell had hoped to see. Meanwhile, Corporal Thompson's unit patrolled the perimeter fence. Their route took them through areas with limited lighting, requiring them to rely heavily on their training and equipment. Thompson noticed that one of his team members, Private Davis, seemed to be struggling with the pace. The young guard had performed well during the day but was clearly feeling the effects of the extended evaluation. Rather than simply push forward, Thompson made a decision that demonstrated the leadership qualities Captain Mitchell had been cultivating. He adjusted the patrol route slightly to give Davis a few minutes to recover while maintaining the security of their assigned area. It was a small gesture, but it showed understanding that taking care of his team was part of his responsibility as a leader. Sergeant Rodriguez faced a different kind of challenge in the command center. Multiple systems were generating false alarms, creating a constant stream of alerts that required investigation and resolution. Each alarm could potentially be real, so he couldn't simply ignore them, but responding to every false positive would quickly exhaust his available personnel. He had to make judgment calls about which alerts deserved immediate attention and which could be handled through routine procedures. The sergeant's experience proved invaluable as he prioritized threats and allocated resources efficiently. He maintained communication with all units while managing the technical challenges of the equipment malfunctions. Captain Mitchell, observing from an adjacent room, was impressed by Rodriguez's ability to stay calm while juggling multiple priorities simultaneously. As night fell completely, the real psychological pressure began. The compound took on a different character in darkness, with familiar spaces becoming mysterious and potentially threatening. Guards who had been confident during daylight hours now had to overcome natural human fears about what might be lurking in the shadows. Their training included night operations, but this was their first extended period of responsibility in complete darkness. Private Watson found herself alone at a checkpoint when the backup lighting system failed. Rather than calling for immediate assistance, she used her personal flashlight and emergency equipment to maintain security, while reporting the malfunction through proper channels. Her actions demonstrated both self-reliance and adherence to protocol, exactly the balance Captain Mitchell wanted to see in his guards. The evening also brought unexpected visitors, family members of some guards who had come to see how their loved ones were progressing. Captain Mitchell had arranged for these visits as part of the evaluation, wanting to see how the guards would handle personal distractions while on duty. It was a subtle test of their ability to separate their professional and personal lives when circumstances demanded it. Corporal Martinez was approached by her younger brother, who had driven several hours to surprise her. The reunion was emotional, but Martinez maintained her professional demeanor while briefly explaining that she was on duty and couldn't leave her post. She arranged to meet him later after her shift ended. The interaction was warm but appropriately brief, showing that she understood her responsibilities came first. Captain Mitchell also introduced financial temptation into the evening's tests. A contractor working on compound maintenance accidentally dropped an envelope containing several $100s near one of the guard posts. The money was legitimate, but the scenario was designed to test the guard's honesty when faced with an opportunity for personal gain with little chance of detection. Private Johnson discovered the envelope during his rounds and immediately turned it into the command center, following standard procedures for found property. He didn't even look inside to see what it contained, treating it simply as an item that needed to be properly documented and returned to its owner. His actions reflected the integrity that Captain Mitchell considered essential for guards entrusted with national security. Throughout the evening, smaller challenges continued to test different aspects of the guards' character and training. Equipment malfunctions required creative problem-solving. Conflicting information from different sources demanded careful analysis. Unexpected changes in orders tested their flexibility and adaptability. Each situation was designed to reveal how the guards would perform when things didn't go according to plan. The most significant test came near midnight. A simulated security breach required all units to coordinate their response while maintaining coverage of their assigned areas. The scenario was complex, involving multiple entry points, diversionary tactics, and time pressure that made careful planning impossible. The guards had to rely on their training and trust in each other to respond effectively. The exercise revealed both strengths and areas for improvement. Communication between units was generally good, but some coordination could have been better. Individual performance was strong, but team synchronization needed work. Captain Mitchell made mental notes about additional training that would address these gaps while acknowledging the overall high quality of the response. As the clock approached midnight, Captain Mitchell began the final evaluation phase. Each guard would receive individual feedback on their performance, but first, he wanted to observe how they handled the transition between shifts. The night shift guards would need to brief their replacements thoroughly, ensuring continuity of security while the day shift personnel rested and prepared for the next day's duties. The midnight shift change became a masterclass in military precision and professionalism. Captain Mitchell positioned himself where he could observe the transition without interfering. Each outgoing guard provided detailed briefings to their replacements, covering everything from equipment status to unusual observations during their watch. The process revealed how well the guards understood their responsibilities and their commitment to maintaining security standards even when exhausted. Private Chen's handover at the main gate exemplified the quality Captain Mitchell expected. She provided her replacement with a comprehensive summary of the evening's activities, including the attempted entry by the unidentified civilian, 2 routine deliveries, and a minor adjustment to the lighting system. Her notes were thorough and her verbal brief was clear and concise. Most importantly, she remained at her post until her replacement confirmed readiness to assume full responsibility. The professionalism extended beyond mere procedure. Captain Mitchell noticed how the guards supported each other during the transition. Those ending their shifts offered encouragement to those beginning the night watch. Equipment was transferred with careful attention to proper inventory procedures. Each guard took personal responsibility for ensuring their replacement had everything needed to succeed. Sergeant Rodriguez coordinated the overall shift change from the command center, maintaining communication with all posts while overseeing the personnel transitions. His ability to manage multiple conversations simultaneously while tracking each position's status demonstrated the leadership skills that had earned him his stripes. The outgoing guards respected his authority, while the incoming shift looked to him for guidance and confidence. After the shift change was complete, Captain Mitchell called the day shift guards to a debriefing session in the main conference room. Despite their obvious fatigue, they assembled quickly and maintained military bearing. The captain could see the exhaustion in their faces, but he also saw something more important: the satisfaction that comes from successfully meeting a significant challenge. He began the debriefing by acknowledging their overall performance. "Today you faced every test we could devise," he said, his voice carrying both authority and warmth. "You handled simulated emergencies, real crises, ethical dilemmas, and personal challenges. Most importantly, you did it as a team, supporting each other while maintaining individual excellence." The guards listened attentively as Captain Mitchell reviewed specific incidents from the day. He praised Private Chen's handling of the unauthorized visitor, noting how she had followed protocol while remaining courteous and professional. He commended Corporal Thompson's leadership during the patrol challenges and his consideration for his team members' welfare. Each guard received specific feedback about their performance, both positive observations and areas for improvement. However, the captain also addressed some concerns. Communication during the complex evening exercise had sometimes been unclear, leading to brief confusion about assignments. Some guards had shown excellent individual initiative, but could have coordinated better with their teammates. These weren't failures, but opportunities for growth and additional training. Private Watson raised her hand and asked about the psychological challenges of night duty. She admitted that the darkness had affected her more than she expected, and wondered about strategies for maintaining alertness during long, quiet hours. Captain Mitchell appreciated her honesty and used her question to discuss the mental aspects of guard duty that were often overlooked in technical training. "Fear is natural," he explained. "What matters is how you manage it and continue to perform your duties effectively. Tonight, each of you faced those fears and overcame them. That's not something that can be taught in a classroom. It has to be experienced and conquered personally." The discussion that followed revealed the depth of thought the guards had put into their roles. They asked about everything from equipment maintenance in adverse weather to procedures for handling multiple simultaneous emergencies. Their questions demonstrated genuine engagement with their responsibilities, and a desire to excel in their duties. Corporal Martinez brought up the challenge of balancing personal relationships with professional duties, referencing her interaction with her brother. Captain Mitchell used this as an opportunity to discuss the sacrifices that military service often requires and the importance of maintaining clear boundaries between personal and professional obligations. Your families and friends will always be important, he said, but when you're on duty, the people you're protecting depend on your complete attention and dedication. Finding that balance is one of the ongoing challenges of military life, and it's different for each person. As the debriefing continued, Captain Mitchell noticed how the guards were beginning to see themselves differently. The nervous recruits from that morning had been replaced by confident professionals who understood both their capabilities and their limitations. They asked thoughtful questions and offered insights based on their experiences during the evaluation. Private Davis, who had struggled during the evening patrol, spoke candidly about his performance and asked for specific guidance on building the stamina needed for extended operations. His willingness to acknowledge areas for improvement impressed Captain Mitchell, who saw it as evidence of the maturity necessary for elite service. The captain concluded the formal debriefing by presenting each guard with their evaluation results. Overall, the scores were excellent, with every guard meeting or exceeding the standards for their position. However, he emphasized that this was not the end of their development, but rather the beginning of their real careers as elite guards. Today's success gives you the right to wear the uniform and carry the responsibility, he said. Tomorrow begins the process of becoming the guards you're truly capable of being. Excellence isn't a destination, it's a daily choice, and I expect you to make that choice every day for the rest of your careers. After the official debriefing ended, Captain Mitchell made time for individual conversations with each guard. These private sessions allowed for more personal feedback and guidance tailored to each person's specific needs and career goals. Some guards needed encouragement to build confidence, while others needed challenge to push them toward greater achievement. Private Chen expressed her amazement at how much she had learned and grown in just 6 months. She asked about opportunities for additional training and advancement within the guard unit. Captain Mitchell was pleased by her ambition and provided guidance on the next steps in her professional development. Sergeant Rodriguez discussed the leadership challenges he had observed during the day and shared insights about managing diverse personalities within a team environment. His experience made him a valuable resource for the younger guards, and Captain Mitchell encouraged him to take on additional mentoring responsibilities. As the individual sessions concluded, dawn was beginning to break over the compound. The guards who had started this journey as strangers were now a cohesive unit, bound together by shared experiences and mutual respect. They had proven themselves capable of meeting the highest standards of military service, but, more importantly, they had proven it to themselves. Dawn brought a sense of renewal to the compound as the guards prepared for their first official assignment. The evaluation was complete, but Captain Mitchell knew the real test lay ahead. Within hours, they would be escorting a delegation of foreign diplomats through a series of high-profile meetings in the capital. This wasn't a simulation or training exercise. Real lives and international relations would depend on their performance. The guards gathered in the briefing room, their faces showing a mixture of exhaustion and excitement. Despite having worked through the night, they maintained perfect military bearing. Captain Mitchell could see the transformation that had occurred over the past 24 hours. The nervous energy of the previous morning had been replaced by calm confidence born of proven capability. Today, you begin your real careers, Captain Mitchell announced as he outlined the mission parameters. The diplomatic escort would involve protecting 3 foreign ministers and their staff during a series of meetings with government officials. The route included potential security vulnerabilities, and intelligence reports suggested possible protest activity along the planned corridors. Sergeant Rodriguez would lead the advance team, responsible for securing each location before the diplomats arrived. His experience and demonstrated leadership made him the natural choice for this critical role. The sergeant listened intently as Captain Mitchell described potential threat scenarios and contingency plans for various emergencies. Private Chen received assignment to the communications team, where her attention to detail and calm demeanor under pressure would be essential. She would coordinate between multiple security agencies, manage encrypted communications, and ensure seamless information flow throughout the operation. The responsibility excited her, knowing that her performance could directly impact the mission's success. Corporal Thompson was selected for the close protection detail, positioning him directly alongside the diplomats during their movements. This assignment required not only tactical skills but also cultural sensitivity and diplomatic awareness. Any mistake in protocol could create international incidents, making his role both prestigious and demanding. The briefing continued for 2 hours as Captain Mitchell detailed every aspect of the operation. Traffic patterns, building layouts, emergency evacuation routes, medical facilities, and backup personnel assignments were all covered in meticulous detail. The guards asked clarifying questions and offered suggestions based on their training and the previous day's experiences. Private Watson volunteered for the counter-surveillance team. Despite it being one of the more challenging assignments, her role would involve identifying potential threats in crowds, monitoring suspicious behavior, and coordinating with local law enforcement. Captain Mitchell was impressed by her willingness to take on this responsibility, remembering how far she had come from her uncertain beginnings. As the briefing concluded, the guards dispersed to make final preparations. Equipment checks became even more thorough than usual, knowing that mechanical failures during an actual operation could have serious consequences. Each guard verified their communication devices, weapons, protective gear, and emergency supplies multiple times. Captain Mitchell used this preparation time to coordinate with other agencies involved in the operation. Local police, federal security services, and diplomatic protection specialists would all play roles in ensuring the diplomat's safety. The complexity of multi-agency coordination reminded him why his guards needed to be exceptional. They would be representing not just their unit but the entire military in this high-visibility assignment. The motorcade departed the compound precisely on schedule, with the guards taking their assigned positions with practiced efficiency. Captain Mitchell rode in the command vehicle, monitoring multiple communication channels while maintaining oversight of the entire operation. He felt the familiar tension that accompanied real missions, but confidence in his team helped keep his nerves steady. The first stop proceeded flawlessly. Sergeant Rodriguez's advance team had thoroughly secured the location, identifying and addressing potential security concerns before the diplomats arrived. The close protection detail moved smoothly through the building,
maintaining proper formations while allowing the
officials to conduct their business without feeling constrained by security. Measures of Private Chen's coordination from the communications center proved invaluable when an unexpected schedule change required rapid adjustments to the planned route. She quickly relayed new information to all teams while updating local authorities about the modifications. Her calm efficiency under pressure impressed not only Captain Mitchell but also the senior officials monitoring the operation. The morning meetings went so smoothly that Captain Mitchell almost forgot this was his guard's first real assignment. They moved with the confidence of veterans, anticipating problems before they developed and adapting to changing circumstances without losing focus on their primary mission. The months of intensive training were paying dividends in professional performance. However, the afternoon brought their first real test. A group of protesters had gathered outside the embassy, where the final meeting was scheduled to take place. While the demonstration appeared peaceful, the crowd size and vocal intensity created additional security, concerns that hadn't been present during the morning events. Corporal Thompson's team had to adjust their formations to account for the crowd while maintaining protection for the diplomats. The protesters were exercising their legal rights, but the guards needed to ensure that legitimate demonstration didn't provide cover for potential threats. It was exactly the kind of complex situation that required judgment, restraint, and professional expertise. Private Watson's counter-surveillance training proved crucial as she identified several individuals in the crowd whose behavior seemed inconsistent with normal protest activity. Rather than taking direct action, she coordinated with local law enforcement to discreetly investigate these persons of interest. Her observations led to the discovery of 2 individuals with outstanding warrants, though neither appeared to pose a direct threat to the diplomatic mission. The protesters remained peaceful throughout the diplomat's visit, but the guards maintained heightened awareness until the officials departed safely. Captain Mitchell was particularly proud of how his team handled the situation. They remained alert and professional without creating unnecessary tension or interfering with the protesters. Right as the motorcade returned to the compound that evening, Captain Mitchell reflected on the day's events. His guards had successfully completed their first operational assignment without incident. More importantly, they had demonstrated the judgment, professionalism, and teamwork that would serve them well throughout their careers. The debriefing that evening was notably different from the previous night's session. Instead of discussing training exercises and simulations, they were analyzing real-world performance and actual outcomes. The guards showed genuine pride in their accomplishment, but they also demonstrated the professional humility to identify areas where they could improve. Sergeant Rodriguez noted that communication between his advance team and the close protection detail could have been more frequent during the transition between locations. Private Chen suggested modifications to the communication protocols that would provide better information flow during schedule changes. Each guard contributed insights that would help improve future operations. Captain Mitchell concluded the debriefing by formally welcoming the guards to active duty status. "Today you proved that our months of training have prepared you for real responsibility," he said. "You protected foreign dignitaries, supported international diplomacy, and represented your country with honor. Most importantly, you did it as a team, each person contributing to the overall success of the mission." 3 months had passed since the diplomatic escort mission, and Captain Mitchell's guards had settled into their regular duties with remarkable success. Each assignment had built upon their initial training, creating a team of professionals who could handle any security challenge with confidence and skill. However, Captain Mitchell knew that complacency was the enemy of excellence, and he had planned a special exercise to test how much his guards had grown. The notification came on a quiet Tuesday morning, a surprise inspection by the Department of Defense's elite evaluation team. Unlike the captain's internal review process, this would involve outside assessors who had no emotional investment in the guard's success. These inspectors had the authority to recommend reassignment or additional training for guards who didn't meet their exacting standards. Captain Mitchell gathered his team in the briefing room to explain the situation. The surprise element was intentional. They would have only 2 hours to prepare for an inspection that could determine their future careers. He watched their faces carefully, looking for signs of panic or uncertainty, but saw only determined focus. Sergeant Rodriguez immediately began coordinating preparation activities, assigning specific tasks to each guard while maintaining normal security operations. His leadership had matured significantly over the past months, and he now moved with the confidence of someone who had proven himself under pressure. The younger guards looked to him for guidance, and he provided it with calm authority. Private Chen took responsibility for ensuring all documentation was current and properly organized. Her natural attention to detail had made her the unofficial keeper of records, and she approached this task with the same methodical precision she brought to all her duties. She knew that paperwork problems could derail even the most competent operational performance. The preparation process revealed how much the guards had internalized their training. Without detailed instructions, they began reviewing emergency procedures, checking equipment, and coordinating their activities. Captain Mitchell was impressed by their initiative and the smooth way they worked together under time pressure. Corporal Thompson focused on tactical preparations, reviewing security protocols and ensuring all defensive positions were properly equipped and documented. His military bearing had always been excellent, but months of real experience had given him the confidence to make independent decisions while maintaining proper respect for chain of command. Private Watson used the preparation time to study the compound's layout and review visitor processing procedures. Her personal transformation continued to amaze Captain Mitchell. The uncertain young woman who had arrived months ago had become one of his most reliable and thoughtful guards. Her ability to anticipate problems and prepare solutions had saved the team from several potential difficulties. When the inspection team arrived, they brought an intensity that immediately filled the compound. Led by Colonel Sarah Henderson, a decorated veteran with 30 years of experience, the team included specialists in tactics, communications, physical security, and personnel management. Each inspector had a reputation for demanding perfection and finding flaws that others missed. The inspection began with a thorough review of all documentation, From training records to equipment maintenance logs to security incident reports, Colonel Henderson and her team scrutinized every detail, looking for gaps in procedures or evidence of declining standards. Captain Mitchell watched nervously as they examined months of carefully maintained records. Private Chen's meticulous record-keeping proved invaluable during this phase. Every required document was not only present, but organized in a logical system that made information easy to locate and verify. The inspectors found no missing reports, no overdue maintenance items, and no procedural violations. Her work reflected the high standards the entire team maintained. The tactical evaluation came next, with the guards required to demonstrate their response to various emergency scenarios. Unlike their initial training exercises, these scenarios were based on actual incidents from other installations, making them unpredictably complex and realistic. The inspectors wanted to see not just technical competence, but also the kind of adaptability and judgment that could only come from real experience. The first scenario involved a simulated, vehicle-borne explosive device discovered near the main entrance. Sergeant Rodriguez immediately took charge, coordinating evacuations while establishing a security perimeter. His team moved with practiced efficiency, but the inspectors noted every detail of their response time, communication procedures, and tactical positioning. Colonel Henderson observed silently as the guards managed multiple aspects of the crisis simultaneously. Corporal Thompson's team secured alternate routes for emergency vehicles, while Private Watson coordinated with simulated bomb disposal experts. Each guard demonstrated not only individual competence but also seamless integration with their teammates' activities. The second scenario tested their ability to handle a medical emergency during a security alert. One of the inspectors feigned a heart attack while alarms indicated a possible breach of the perimeter. The guards had to provide medical assistance without compromising their defensive positions or abandoning their security responsibilities. Private Chen's communication skills proved crucial as she coordinated between medical personnel and security teams while maintaining contact with external emergency services. Her calm professionalism under the pressure of multiple simultaneous crises impressed even the experienced inspectors, who noted her performance in their evaluation documents. The scenarios continued throughout the afternoon, each one designed to test different aspects of the guards' capabilities. They faced everything from cybersecurity breaches to hostile surveillance, to coordinated attacks involving multiple entry points. Every scenario required split-second decision-making and flawless execution of complex procedures. What impressed Colonel Henderson most was not just the guards' technical performance, but their obvious pride in their work. They approached each challenge with determination and supported each other through difficult moments. The teamwork that Captain Mitchell had worked so hard to develop was clearly evident in every interaction. The physical fitness evaluation came as no surprise, but the inspectors' standards were notably higher than those used during basic training. The guards had to demonstrate not just strength and endurance, but also the ability to perform complex tasks while physically exhausted. This tested their capacity to maintain professional standards even under the most demanding conditions. Private Watson particularly distinguished herself during this phase, completing obstacle courses and tactical movements that would have been impossible for her months earlier. Her personal transformation represented everything the inspection team hoped to see in elite guards: continuous improvement and dedication to excellence. As evening approached, the inspection team conducted individual interviews with each guard. These sessions explored not just technical knowledge but also understanding of ethics, commitment to duty, and ability to handle the psychological pressures of high-stakes security work. The questions were designed to reveal character as much as competence. Captain Mitchell waited anxiously during these private sessions, knowing that a single poor performance could reflect badly on the entire team. However, he had confidence in his guards' preparation and character. Months of real-world experience had given them not just skills, but also the wisdom to apply those skills appropriately. The final evaluation phase involved a comprehensive, written examination covering everything from emergency procedures to international diplomatic protocol. The guards had studied extensively, but the test included scenario-based questions that required analytical thinking rather than simple memorization. As the formal inspection concluded, Colonel Henderson called Captain Mitchell aside for a private conference. Her expression was neutral, giving no indication of her team's findings. After months of working closely with his guards, the captain felt personally invested in their success and nervously awaited the official verdict. "Captain Mitchell," Colonel Henderson began, "I want to discuss our findings with you before we brief your guards." Her tone remained professional, but Captain Mitchell detected a note of something that might have been approval in her voice. The next few minutes would determine whether months of hard work had achieved the standards required for elite service. The colonel opened her evaluation folder and began reviewing the inspection results. Each category would receive a numerical score and written comments that would become part of the Guard's permanent records. These evaluations would influence future assignments, promotion opportunities, and the overall reputation of Captain Mitchell's training program. "Your guards have achieved something remarkable," Colonel Henderson continued, and Captain Mitchell felt a wave of relief beginning to build. The inspector's next words would either validate everything he had tried to accomplish or require him to reassess his entire approach to training and leadership. Colonel Henderson's words carried the weight of years of experience evaluating elite military units across the country. "Your guards have achieved something remarkable," she continued, setting down her evaluation folder. "In 30 years of conducting these inspections, I have rarely seen such a combination of technical competence, professional maturity, and genuine teamwork. Your training program has produced results that exceed our highest expectations." Captain Mitchell felt a surge of pride mixed with relief. Months of intensive work, countless hours of training, and the emotional investment in each guard's development had culminated in this moment of validation. However, he maintained his professional composure as Colonel Henderson continued her assessment. "Sergeant, Rodriguez demonstrates leadership qualities that would be impressive in an officer with twice his experience," the colonel noted. "His ability to coordinate complex operations while maintaining awareness of each team member's capabilities shows exceptional tactical intelligence. We recommend him for advanced leadership training." The praise for Private Chen was equally substantial. Her attention to detail and communication skills represent the gold standard for support operations. During the crisis scenarios, she maintained perfect situational awareness while managing multiple information streams. Her performance would be exemplary at any level of service. Colonel Henderson's evaluation of Corporal Thompson highlighted his tactical expertise and adaptability. His response to the vehicle threat scenario was textbook perfect, but more importantly, he demonstrated the judgment to modify standard procedures when circumstances required it. That kind of flexible thinking is exactly what we need in today's security environment. Private Watson's assessment brought particular satisfaction to Captain Mitchell, knowing how far she had traveled from her uncertain beginnings. Her transformation represents everything we hope to achieve through military service. She has not only mastered the technical requirements but has developed the confidence and character necessary for elite responsibilities. The colonel continued through each guard's evaluation, noting strengths and areas for continued development. However, the overall assessment was overwhelmingly positive. The inspection team had found no significant deficiencies in training, procedures, or performance. More importantly, they had observed the intangible qualities that separated good guards from exceptional ones. "Captain Mitchell," Colonel Henderson said as she concluded her formal assessment, "your leadership has created something special here. These guards don't just follow procedures, they understand the purpose behind those procedures and adapt them appropriately to changing circumstances. That level of professional judgment cannot be taught through instruction alone. It develops through the kind of mentorship and practical experience you have provided." When the guards were called together for the final briefing, their faces showed the tension of waiting for results that could define their careers. Captain Mitchell stood beside Colonel Henderson as she prepared to deliver the official findings. The atmosphere in the room was electric with anticipation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Colonel Henderson began, "I am pleased to inform you that your unit has received the highest rating possible in all categories of evaluation. Your performance during this inspection has been exemplary, reflecting not only your individual capabilities but also your effectiveness as a cohesive team." The relief and joy on the guards' faces was immediate and unmistakable. Months of hard work, uncertainty, and constant pressure to improve had led to this moment of recognition. However, their military discipline prevented any outward celebration. They maintained their professional bearing while Absorbing the significance of the achievement, Colonel Henderson continued, with specific commendations for exceptional performance. Each guard received individual recognition for their contributions to the unit's success. The ceremony concluded with the presentation of unit commendation ribbons, a visible symbol of their achievement that they would wear with pride throughout their careers. After the inspection team departed, Captain Mitchell gathered his guards for a private celebration in the recreation facility. Away from official protocols and formal evaluations, they could finally express the emotions they had kept controlled during the inspection process. The room filled with laughter, congratulations, and stories from the day's challenges. Sergeant Rodriguez raised a toast to Captain Mitchell, acknowledging the leadership that had made their success possible. 6 months ago, we were strangers with potential, he said. Today, we are professionals with proven capabilities. That transformation happened because someone believed in us and demanded excellence while providing the support we needed to achieve it. Private, Chen spoke about how the experience had changed her understanding of what military service could accomplish. I thought I was just learning to be a guard, she said. Instead, I learned to be a leader, a problem solver, and part of something larger than myself. This unit has become my military family. The celebration continued late into the evening, but it was not just about their recent achievement. The guards talked about future goals, career aspirations, and their commitment to maintaining the standards they had worked so hard to establish. Captain Mitchell listened with satisfaction as they discussed additional training opportunities and their desire to help train the next group of recruits. As the evening wound down, Captain Mitchell reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. The nervous recruits who had arrived months ago had been transformed into confident professionals capable of handling the most demanding security assignments. More importantly, they had developed into a team that supported each other while maintaining individual excellence. The next morning brought a return to regular duties, but everything felt different. The guards moved with the confidence that comes from proven success. Their interactions with each other showed the deep mutual respect that had developed through shared challenges and achievements. Most significantly, they approached their responsibilities with renewed commitment to the standards they had worked so hard to establish. Captain Mitchell's own sense of accomplishment was profound. Training guards was more than just a professional assignment. It was an opportunity to shape lives and contribute to national security. Seeing his guards succeed at the highest levels validated not only his training methods but also his belief in the potential of dedicated individuals to achieve extraordinary things. The compound had returned to its normal routine, but the atmosphere was charged with pride and purpose. New recruits would arrive soon and the cycle would begin again. However, the current guards would now serve as role models and mentors, helping the next generation achieve the same level of excellence they had demonstrated. In his final report on the inspection, Captain Mitchell wrote, "The success of this unit represents more than just individual achievement or effective training procedures. It demonstrates the power of high expectations combined with strong support, the importance of teamwork in accomplishing complex missions, and the remarkable potential that exists within dedicated military personnel. These guards have not only met every standard required of them, they have redefined what we should expect from elite security professionals." The pride shining in their faces had become a permanent fixture, earned through months of dedication, and validated by the highest levels of professional recognition. Captain Mitchell knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, these guards would meet them with the same determination and excellence they had shown throughout their remarkable journey from recruits to elite professionals.